Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and today is headlines. Headlines for the week of October 28th. If you can believe that already, today is Halloween. Today is October 31st. And let's get to a couple different things. We're going to have two headlines today, but I want to talk about a couple things beforehand, some show notes that I think you'll really enjoy. Number one, last Tuesday, which would have been just a couple days ago, at the time of this recording, on 10/29, October 29th, I had the main cast of a movie called Daruma on, and you can find out more about that movie at darumamovie.com. But basically, it is a movie that made history because the two lead actors are both disabled, and those two actors are John Lawson, who is a double upper limb amputee, he's missing both of his hands from an electrical accident, and Tobias Forrest, who is a quadriplegic. They are the leads of the movie. I was able to interview both of them along with Abigail Hawke. She's also in the movie. You may know her from Blue Bloods on CBS. Really great interview. Great movie. They're doing it for so many good reasons. Fantastic conversation. If you get the chance, go look up that episode. It came out, like I said, a couple days ago on October 29th, and it's called Daruma Movie. The episode is like I think it's the 85th episode. It is season 5, season 5, episode 18. I didn't think there was going to be math doing podcasts, but apparently there is. Go check that out. And something I want to address too, I don't typically post on AC Connect, which is the Amputee Coalition message board, and it's called AC Connect, but I did for this because I think it's a very strong, powerful message. So I posted to it and got really good feedback. But the problem with the feedback is that I got, it was directed directly towards me. It was like an inline feedback. It wasn't on the actual post, which is fine. I don't mind getting feedback that way. But on the AC Connect website, it says view message and reply to this message online, which, yeah, of course, online. View message and reply to this message online. I don't know if they think we're an AOL and it's 1998. Yeah, obviously it's online, but you're in a continuous loop. I cannot find where to reply to the people that took time out of their day to say, great podcast, really enjoyed it. One gentleman said, hey, I really like the name of your podcast. That's cool. I'm glad you did that. But I do want to give a special shout out since they said they were going to be listening to my podcast moving forward. Peter and Todd, thank you for taking the time to give me feedback. I wish I could have said it in person or through email, but I cannot find a way to reply to you on AC Connect. So if there's anybody out there who has more experience than me, hey, listen, I do all of my own websites. I used to do websites for $1 billion organization. I do MikeBolland.com. I do We'reNotStumped.com. I own a company called the Two-Fisted Drinker. I do that website. I do websites for a couple nonprofits. I do websites all the time. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not missing something, but it's probably bad usability if I can't find any way to reply to those people. So thank you, though, Peter and Todd, for taking the time to give me feedback on the podcast and the episode for Daruma Movie. And it's darumamovie.com. That's why I keep saying that way. And thank you to John Lawson, Toby Tobias Forrest. He goes by Toby when we're talking, but it's Tobias Forrest and Abigail Hawke. Thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast. Next Tuesday, what is that, the 2nd? Or the 5th, pardon me, November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th. Susan Fumagalli is on that episode of the podcast. She has gone through osseointegration, and I've had some feedback that people want to hear a little bit more about it. Susan was gracious enough to come on the podcast and talk all about it, talk about her own amputation journey. She's a above-knee bilateral amputee, and she just raves about the system that she went through. But you have to hear her story. It is a very good story. She's an incredibly powerful and special person. Susan, thank you for being on the podcast. And anyone that has some questions from a user perspective on osseointegration, listen to that that particular podcast. That will be season 5, episode 20. That's where I had 20 in my head. So those are the show notes. Now let's get to the headlines. And I'm going to tell you about headline number 1. This comes from the great state I'm sitting in right now, the great state of Arizona. And the headline, this is on Arizona Family, this Channel 3 here in Arizona. This one comes from again, it comes from Arizona family. And the headline is Arizona teen shooting survivor in need of new prosthetic to keep playing football. And this one comes courtesy of Zach Prelutsky. So again, Zach, thank you for publishing this. And the story goes, a Chandler teen who survived a shooting more than 3 years ago needs the community support once again. In 2021, Everett Watson Jr. and his three brothers were playing basketball at Santan Park in Chandler when three male suspects, possibly teenagers, approached them and started shooting. Everett was shot multiple times and ended up losing his left foot. Now, Everett is a proud member of the Perry High School junior varsity football team. Him as a person is the most selfless, not even player, but the most selfless person you'll ever meet. And that quote comes courtesy of head coach Mike Bolland. I believe I pronounced that correct. Everett plays on the defensive line, but says that football wasn't always his love like it is now. I was really not a fan of football until the accident because it just helped me relieve my stress. Everett's parents, coaches, and teammates describe him as a tenacious, positive, and inspirational leader. During the last JV game, he made a big tackle in the backfield. Right after the play, with the adrenaline still pumping, Everett went over to the bench. He was sitting on the bench and he goes, "Coach, I broke my foot." And he hands me his foot, basically his prosthetic. Watson's only prosthetic foot broke during that play, and he can't get on the field without one because Everett's parents' new job, their insurance won't cover the cost of a new prosthetic right now either. That's terrible. You break your foot, you break your prosthetic, and insurance won't cover it. I don't care if it's a new job or not. That's a shame to hear. So sorry about that. But his first response to any adversity is to never ask for support or ask for help. But he's just going to make it work. He's just going to work harder, said Golden. Golden, known as Coach Mom, also has a son on the JV team that has developed a friendship with the Watson family over the last year. Everett has no clue how big of an impact he's made on so many people. Golden has helped start a GoFundMe page to raise money to get Everett a new prosthetic and back on the football field. There's only 2 games left in the JV season this year, and a prosthetic foot can cost thousands of dollars. Absolutely, we know that. But until that may happen, Everett will keep working, smiling, and being the best teammate he can be. I can inspire people, I know. I can try to do my best and make people just happy. Well, Everett, good luck to you, and we hope that you have everything you need. We hope you get that foot, everything you need to play football again. I will link to the GoFundMe page, but if you're just listening to this podcast, let me see if I can find a little bit more information. It's the title of the GoFundMe is Help Everett Get Back on the Football Field. So if you want to go support it, you want to go look it up, go to GoFundMe and look up Help Everett Get Back on the Football Field. And if you want to know the success that GoFundMe can actually do, especially in our community, let me talk to you about the next headline. This one comes courtesy of WKRN, and the headline is A Dream Come True. GoFundMe donation from a Vanderbilt professor changes the life of a quadruple amputee. This one comes out of Gatlin, Tennessee. WKRN. And let me see if I can find the person. I can. It is Caitlin Quisenberry. Caitlin is the one who wrote this article. And it starts, for the first time, a Gatlin mother met a total stranger who helped her get new arms. Autumn Nugent is a quadriplegic amputee who asked for help paying for bionic limbs. A professor at Vanderbilt University, Carolyn Heinrich, saw News 2's previous reporting and made a donation that would change both of their lives. I saw the story in the news about Autumn, and I was so moved thinking about a mom who just wanted to have hands to hug her kids. In 2021, Nugent got an infection after surgery on her arm. She was rushed to the hospital where she said she got COVID-19, and in the ICU, she lost her hearing completely. Her vital organs began to fail, and she watched as blood left her extremities. She spent a week in a coma with a 10% chance of survival. Nugent dreams of having the funds to have bionic arms. They originally thought that I would be an amputee above the knee and above the elbow, and that's when I first heard that news. I was completely devastated at first, Nugent told News 2 in February. I was just like, I don't want to be here. I mean, I really can't do anything. So why would I want to be here? And then as I got the news that they were able to do below knee and below elbow, I started to keep a more positive attitude. Within a month of Nugent sharing her story, Heinrich made that dream come true by donating over $3,000. This one person did over $3,000 to her GoFundMe page. I said, I want to finish the deal for you and make sure you get your arms, Heinrich told News 2. It was so moving and touching that someone was actually interested in my story and was wanting to see me succeed. The two women stayed in constant communications. Heinrich even paid for Nugent's hotel and a flight to Florida for her bionic arm fitting. Why wouldn't I just help her finish the job? Heinrich added. When she was down there, she was learning and working hard how to use those arms. What a big deal that is too. After 8 months, Autumn took her arms home. I just couldn't wait to finally wrap my arms around Heinrich and hold her tight, because without her, I don't think I would have been able to make this possible so soon, Nugent said. What a great story. There's some successes again through GoFundMe and a lot within the limb loss community. So there was 2 today that I talked about. I'm not positive whether this GoFundMe is still active. Let me see. Autumn's Hero Arms Fund, and there have been 34 donations. What I'll do is I'll link to this. Why not? But if you're just listening to the podcast, go to GoFundMe and look up Autumn's Hero Arms Fund. So that's it for the headlines. One other show note, something I want to start doing next week on the Thursday episodes. Remember, every Thursday, headlines comes out. But you know what I want to start doing? I want to spotlight great organizations from around the country. So if you are a part of a great organization or you know of a great organization, let me know. I'll do a little research and I'll mention them on this podcast. I can think of a couple that I've worked with recently. Camp No Limits. What a great organization. Ability 360 here in Arizona. What a great organization. Arizona Disabled Sports here in Arizona. I actually help with their bowling program. What a great organization. What organizations do you know? Go to we'renotstumped.com, fill out the Contact Us page, and I will mention the organization that you recommend on this podcast to give a little bit more visibility. Sometimes there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great things in this country. Unfortunately, we don't hear about those things all the time. But sometimes they fly under the radar. There's a ton of great things going on out there. What I can do with this podcast is add a little bit of exposure. And if they're a 501(c) and a nonprofit, maybe that exposure can help. So that's it for headlines for the week. Well, I'll tell you what, it's Halloween. That's the week. That's all you need to know. Hope you're getting dressed up, having fun. And as always, have a great rest of your week.